What if I told you it's possible to boost your e-bike range by up to 50% without spending a single cent? Hey guys, my name's Andy and welcome to the channel. Now there's a few simple steps that you can do, you can add to your routine, the way you cycle, a little bit about what you can be doing to your e-bike that can save you heaps of battery power, and yeah, you can actually get up to 50% more kilometers out of your existing battery. You don't need to buy anything else. You might not like some of the things that I'm going to suggest, but they do work. So the first one's easy, it's not very controversial, everyone should be doing this. Check your tyre pressure, make sure they're inflated properly. On a normal bike, it's easier to recognise when your tyres are flat because it will just feel a bit sluggish, but the difficulty you have with an e-bike is that because you're being assisted, to you it might not feel like much more effort is needed because the battery and the motor's doing it, but just by pumping up your tyres, it's going to make the motor much more efficient and therefore your battery lasts longer. So you will just need to check, probably like once a week, just literally with your hands, just check if the tyres are inflated enough. And there should be on the side of the tyre a maximum PSI that you can inflate it to. Get yourself a pump with a little dial on like that, and make sure you don't overinflate because that will cause a whole nother set of problems. Obviously, if you're going off-road or something like that, you might want your tyres a bit softer, but generally for road, I'd put it up to max inflation. Now the next step, this one again is not controversial, it's not going to affect how your bike performs, it's just sort of like a best practice that you can be doing, and that is to look after your battery and more specifically think about the way you're charging it and don't overcharge it. So that means when your bike is fully charged, and normally it might have like a light that goes from sort of amber or red to green, right? When it's fully charged, unplug it, don't overcharge it. And unfortunately for some of you who are probably doing this, that means don't just charge it overnight and go to sleep, all right? Because you might whack it on charge at like 8 p.m, it'll finish charging at like 2 a.m. in the morning, and then go another like 6 hours or whatever, just overcharging. That is not good for your battery. That's going to degrade it quicker. It's like your phone battery, right? Like it's going to degrade over time, but there's a few little steps that you can do to sort of slow down that degrading process. Now this next one, some of you are not going to like, but it's a big one and it really can. This is where you'll really get the extra Ks out. And that is, do not feel like you have to ride on the maximum assistance level all the time. Now you might be thinking, well, what's the point in having an e-bike then? Obviously I want that assistance, right? But let's say you've got like 5 levels of assistance on your e-bike. Start off on 3, right? Level 3, you'll be getting some assistance and also doing a little bit of work yourself, but you'll still be comfortable, right? And you're gonna get like way more kilometers out of it then. And then what you can always do is if you are finding it a bit difficult, if you're going up a slope or a hill, you can whack it up to 5 or whatever, and then when you're over that hill, whack it down to 3 or 4, whatever's comfortable, you know. And then what you can do as your journey goes on and you do feel yourself starting to get tired towards the end of the journey, or if you feel yourself getting a bit hot and you're like, oh shit man, I'm going on a date, I can't be turning up all sweating or whatever, whack it up to 5 if you need it. But if you don't need it, then don't feel like you have to always have it on the maximum assistance level. And the next tip is to reduce excess weight, both on the e-bike and on you. And I'm not telling you to go on a diet, you do you, whatever, right? I'm talking about like if you've got like stuff in your bag that you don't need, get rid of it. If you've got like a bike rack on your e-bike that you just never use, take it off. If you're wearing big heavy boots, like, I don't know, unless you need them, then put on some lighter trainers or whatever. All these things make a lot of difference. For example, if you're carrying a hoodie in your bag, the hoodie weighs about 500 grams. So times that by a few other items that you have in your bag or on your person or on your bike, all of a sudden that's an extra few kilos. And over the duration of a long journey, that will make a lot of difference. And the next tip is to plan efficient routes, right? Because you're going to use way more battery going up and down hills than you would going on straights. And that doesn't mean avoid hills completely, because that's half the point of having an e-bike, right? To give you that assistance when you need it. But if you've got 2 options on a route, one of them's flat, one of them's hilly, and other than that they're identical, take the flat one because your battery is going to exert way more energy going up hills. And you might be thinking, oh yeah, but then you can coast down and make up for it. But ask any like regular cyclist or even a runner or even like a car driver, you'll know that coasting down the other side does not make up for the extra energy you use climbing the hill. And that kind of leads me on to the final tip that I'm going to give you today, and that is to pedal efficiently. So your e-bike may or may not have this, but I think most do, even like the most basic e-bikes. On the controller, there is a setting where you can look at how much power that you're outputting. So it should be a number and then like a W for watts, right? Give that a watch when you're riding and you'll quickly learn when your bike is exerting a lot of power and when it's not, and it might surprise you. Like you might think when you're flying along at top speed, that's when you're using up the most battery, and it's really not the case. It's getting up to that speed, that's where your battery and your motor really has to work hard. So it's stopping and starting and things like that. Similar, cars are similar, right? So going along at the motorway at sort of like low revs isn't burning as much fuel as you think, but it's the accelerating that does, right? So just think about that and pedal efficiently. And so one example of that would be if you're coming up to traffic lights and you can see it's a red light, don't speed up to it and then stop. And then when it goes green, you have to start again, because that's going to use a lot of battery, right? So try and sort of coast, slow down as you're coming up to it. Ideally, by the time you get to the light, it goes green already, and then it's easier to pick up speed and you're just wasting less fuel. If that happens a few times over the duration of a trip, that's going to save you heaps of battery. But generally, yeah, so the way to think about it is just keep your speed consistent, casual, rather than like, oh, burn it up here, stop, burn it there, slam on the brakes, burn it there, you know, that's just not the right way to do it. Anyone who's got a car probably already knows all this stuff, so I'm teaching your nan to suck eggs, or whatever the expression is. What's the expression? Preaching to the choir, let's go with that one instead. If you've got any extra tips for making your e-bike battery last longer, please drop them in the comments below. People really do read them. If you've enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, because there's going to be plenty more like this. It really helps me, it makes my day, and it just ensures that you're going to keep getting more useful e-bike news, tips and reviews. We've got a wicked review coming up soon for a Reed e-bike that will be dropping in the very near future. It's a great bike, or is it? Let me tell you, I'll find out in the review. Just give the game away. And if you are into e-bikes, this video here is going to be really interesting for you. There's a couple of surprises in there, but I won't say any more now. Give it a watch and I'll see you there.